Okay, so I'm privileged. I'm not showing my face. I apologize. I'm privileged to be honored to introduce Keren Miller. Keren, you want to give a few words about yourself? So you can do it this morning.
Hi, ladies. How are you? I want to wish you a good morning. Thank you so much for joining here. It's a zchut to be here with Naomi, who's constantly trying to be mezakeh Am Yisrael, to do more things to promote Ahavat Yisrael. And I'm happy to be able to be here and share with you. I myself am a motivational speaker. I give shiurim to ladies. I'm also a life coach. And I love spreading inspiration that I get. So Baruch Hashem, I was zochet to hear an amazing shiur, a few shiurim actually, with relation to Asara Tevet. And I would love to share my chizuk with you. I heard Rabbi Lebinsky share. I don't know how many of you heard of him, Rabbi Zalman Lebinsky. And Baruch Hashem, I was zochet to really get inspired by the chizuk that he gave, and I would like to share with you. So I just wanted to, we're in the month of Tevet, and interestingly enough, it's one of the darkest months, one of the darkest times for Klal Yisrael, Kislev and Tevet. But looking over and trying to find information more about this month, I found out that they were like combined together in one of the Sfarim, because Chanukah comes out from, let me just, hold on 1 second to charge it. Apologize. So Chanukah comes out, starts in Kislev, right? And it ends up going into Tevet. And even though Tevet is a month of Puranut, right? It's a month that's meant misugal for negative things happening for Klal Yisrael, unfortunately, because we know that Asara B'Tevet, we just commemorated, right, is a time when Bnei Israel, where the siege already was done to Yerushalayim, when the Bavarim went and surrounded Yerushalayim. So this is the beginning of the breach into Yerushalayim, and it ended up leading up to the other two fasts, which we know on Yud Zayin B'Tammuz is the time when they broke through the walls, and on Tisha B'Av, 3 weeks later, they destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. So what's going on here? What are we, commemorating, so to speak, and what is the symbolic of if we know that Tevet is a month, the Misugal for Poranut, it's like a bad month, so to speak. But it started off, we said Chanukah started off in the month of Kislev and ended up, it was actually 8 days before, Asara B'Tevet, it was Zot Chanukah. So Baruch Hashem, we have the light of Chanukah being Me'ir, right? Bringing more light into the month of Tevet, which is Mesugal for Poranut. And it's interesting. Let's try to understand and dig deep. What are we talking about? What is this month? So this month belongs to Esav. It says the 3 months, Tevet, Tammuz, and Av, they're ruled by Esav. The midah that's synonymous with this month is the midah of rogez, or ka'as. And we have to try to sort of control that midah of rogez and ka'as. What really is that midah of rogez and ka'as? Because we know that every midah is really like a midah measurement, right? Midah limdod means to measure. We can use it for the good, and we can use it for the bad. And with regards to ka'as, if we don't control this midah, it gets way out of control. And we know that ka'as is not a good thing. So how can we say that ka'as can be used for good? Because ka'as, we can use it towards fighting against our enemy, fighting against our yetzer hara. Why are you doing this to me? Get away from me. Really, we can utilize that midah to fight the negative forces. But if we don't, we can unfortunately go deep, deep down. And it says that ka'as is synonymous with avodah zarah. It's as if we're worshiping avodah zarah. How can we say that? Because what happens when a person is bekas, they end up losing control. They end up, if they're going to get so upset, what are they really saying? They're saying that I'm not able to be in control. I'm not able to, to do what I want to do right now. This is what I want to do right now. Don't stop me. And of course, it could get further than that, much more severe. So we have to control this midah. And really, what's this midah of wanting to be in control? It's really the ego. It's really the ge'ava, the pride, the haughtiness in us, that we are, that we think that we can control things, that we can make things happen. And really, that's, that Eino Milvado, Hashem runs the world. And that's why it's like Avodah Zarah. But we have to utilize that midah, we said, towards the opposite end. What's the opposite end? When we're looking at the scale of midot, if we're saying that kas is gava, the opposite of gava is anava. It's the ability to control myself and understand that I'm not controlling, I'm not ruling, I'm not doing this. It's Hashem that runs the world. And Hashem enod milvado, and understanding that, who am I? Who am I compared to you, Hashem? Not that I'm a nothing. Of course, I have something to contribute. We know that Moshe Rabbeinu understood that he had greatness, but Moshe was anav mikol adam. He also understood that, where his place was. Even though he is the leader, he understood that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him this job to be able to rule Am Yisrael, and he knew how to utilize it because he minimized who he was in terms of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? He didn't even want to be the leader, and that's the midah v'nava. And so we have to take this midah of roges this month and try to control it and try to rule over it. Not rule over it, especially rule over it's the opposite. It's ruling over other people. But we need to squash it down and to try to humble ourselves and to try to work on ourselves to think, who am I? And really, why are we doing this? What is this concept of in relation to the Bet HaMikdash, when now we're saying Asara B'Tevet, we're starting the times of Poranut. Really, Asara B'Tevet, if it comes out on Shabbat, we're supposed to fast. We're not doche, but it doesn't come out on Shabbat. So why does Chazal even tell us that? Because Asara B'Tevet is the beginning of the breakdown. Everything has a build-up, right? Like when you build a structure, there's an anatomy to building, right? We have to have the foundation. We have to establish something in order for that building to be able to stand up. Same thing with a breakdown. There's an anatomy to a breakdown. The beginning of the Poranut for Am Yisrael, the destruction, the Choban Bet HaMikdash, did not start on Tisha B'Av when we say, there was a destruction. It started already on Asara B'Tevet. And maybe if we would nip it in the bud, if we would stop on Asara B'Tevet and know how to control what it is that we need to control in terms of our midot, and be able to work on ourselves and to be able to bring something into fruition so that maybe the Bet HaMikdash won't have to be destroyed. And what is that? We know it says that Vasuli Mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Make for me a mikdash and I will rest in them. It doesn't say in it. Why rest in them? Because by the virtue of the fact that when we want to do the will of Hashem and we're doing mitzvah and we're doing chesed and we're working on ourselves, we're bringing the Shekhinah in. And really, we are synonymous with a mikdash pe'at. We're like a miniature structure. We're a Beit HaMikdash. Everything that we do to perfect ourselves, really it's for the sake of who? For the sake of Kadosh Baruch Hu. We really want to get closer to you, Hashem. And when we're trying to stay away from the negative midot and work on ourselves and work on our midot, we're building the infrastructure of our own Beit HaMikdash. Why was the Beit HaMikdash destroyed? Maybe we can help to rebuild it. What's our rectification now? So the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed because of Sinat Chinam. We know the first Beit HaMikdash was destroyed because of the three cardinal sins, Shfichut Damim, Gilui Arayot, and Avodah Zarah. But the second Beit HaMikdash was Sinat Chinam. The Mefarshim say actually the two were equal. What? How could you say that hatred is equal to Avodah Zarah? So let's understand. So Sinat Chinam, what is it? What is it, Sinat Chinam? Sinat Chinam is hatred, baseless hatred, that we're not really trying to comprehend and understand what it means, the greatness of every Jew. We're not really comprehending how to judge each other, how to look at each other in a positive, in a favorable light. Because if we did, then we would avoid so much more strife, right? There would be shalom, there would be shalva. So where does it start from? Every day, and really we should say this here, because it's a mitzvah aseh. Every day in the Siddur, right after Bachot, some Siddurim, I think most Siddurim has it, we say, הריני מקבלת על עצמי את מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך. I accept upon myself the mitzvah of loving your fellow Jew, right? Loving every person has to have this ahava. What does it say? Mitzvah ואהבת לרעך כמוך. You end up saying afterwards also והריני מצוות עשה ואהבת לרעך כמוך, והריני אוהבת, and I love את כל בני ישראל כנפשי ומאודי. I love every Jew like they were my soul, because we know that we are really one neshama. We are really connected. It says when the head hurts, right? Your whole body hurts. You were one unit. It's one body. Am Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael, you know what they're called? They're called the Lev of Hashem. Libi, it says, we are the heart and soul of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so when one person is going astray, everybody should be feeling it. We should all care for that person. And we do, because our whole Shemona Esrei, all the davening that we do, we say it in Lashon Rabim, we say it in a plural, right? Barcheinu, Refa'enu, Shma Kolenu, everything is in plural because Kol Yisrael Aravim Zelazeh. We're not just davening for ourselves. My Mikdash Me'at is so important, like your Mikdash, right? You're building, I'm building, we're doing it together. How can I hate you? You're a chelek Elokam imal. So look at the words. V'ahavta lereacha kamocha. What's the important part of this pasuk? The kamocha, what I'm comparing it to. You should love your fellow Jew like you love yourself. So there's a question. Do I love myself? And really, this hit home. Because we would avoid so much sinat chinam if we would stop and build the infrastructure of who we are. And understand that's the basis, that's the beginning. That is where it all starts. It starts with me. Bishvili nivra olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world for me. And I have a chiyuv to work on me. And what do we do instead? What do we do? We're in our head and we're thinking, we're blaming ourselves. Why'd you do this? How can you do that? You shouldn't have said this. You shouldn't have done that. Why'd you speak Lashon Hara? Why are you judging her? And we knock ourselves, and we knock ourselves, and we knock ourselves. And no, we're not supposed to be doing that, because you're also chelek Elokam imal. You count and matter just the same as someone else. You're trying to judge other people favorably, but are you judging yourself favorably? Are you looking at yourself favorably in a positive, in a good light, and understanding that you matter? Everything that you do matters to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so, we get into the self-criticism, and we're supposed to stop it. The sinat chinam is for ourselves. Do we really love ourselves? Or is it a form of sinah? And Hashem says we're not supposed to be on a guilt trip. We're not supposed to be thinking, like, I'm never going to be able to do this. I hate myself. Stop it. I'm not getting up. I'm not doing this mitzvah. I'm not going. This is a cold winter. I'm here under the covers. Leave me alone. I'm not interested in davening. I'm not interested in doing, right? And this is talking about also a person's challenges. We're not just talking about the winter. We're talking about the frustration and the depression and the things that people go through. And that's, everybody goes through this. The aloneness, right? Really, we're chelek Elokam imal. We're created in the image of Hashem. Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson says it beautifully. We're ambassadors of faith. We are the ones that are going to bring the geula. We're in this generation. So how can we not love ourselves? So the infrastructure is, let's build ourselves. And there's a concept of tshuva. I did something wrong. I have to correct it. Not wallow in the misery and understand and think to myself, I can't do this. I'm not good for, I'm a good for nothing. I'm not gonna do it. I don't care. Leave me alone, like, and just continue wallowing in that negativity. And where does it begin? So it's a longer class, but I'll shorten it because we just have, I know everybody has to go to, they're busy. Today's right before Shabbat, we're getting ready. So I'll just make it in short. And maybe another time we'll elaborate. You'll also see I have a YouTube channel where I post my videos, Baruch Hashem, when I give shiurim. I'm able, somebody helps me and I upload it there. So you're welcome. I'll give you my number and I'll send you a link to that. I also have a WhatsApp group where I put inspiration there and I post my shiurim. So really, it begins with the mind. It begins with our mindset. The infrastructure of ourselves begins with how we think. And really, even before what we're thinking, it begins with our ratzon. It begins with our willingness. It begins with our inner consciousness. Each one of the three fasts are connected. It says in every generation that the Bet HaMikdash is not rebuilt, it's as if it was destroyed. And the Khatam Sofer says it's not as if it was destroyed only, it's being destroyed mamash now. It's as if we're destroying it because it didn't get built in this generation. We're helping to continue to destroy it. That's a very powerful statement. So what do? We have to nip it in the bud and we have to build that infrastructure. So Asara Tevet is when there's a siege around the walls. That's the ratzon. That's our innermost desire. What do we really want? Do I really want to be close to Hashem? Do I really want to work on my emunah? Is that my ratzon? Is that my willingness? Is that what I really want? That's the beginning step. Yud Zayin B'Tammuz is already dealing with our machshavot, our thought processes, right? How do we think? What is it? What's in our mind? What are we telling ourselves every day? The sin'ah that we're feeling. What are we telling ourselves? It begins with the ratzon and goes into the mindset. How do we view ourselves? Do you understand? You have a tremendous koach. You have an ability to contribute to this world. You're chelek Elokam Imah. And if we understand our koach and ability of who we are and what we are, and understand the gadlut of who we are, then we're not going to continue beating ourselves up. We're going to work it out. Let's try to think. Why am I thinking this way? Why am I not feeling good about myself? Maybe there's a trauma. Maybe there's something I went through today. Maybe somebody told me something, and try to work on it. And that's tshuva. That's the process of tshuva. And Tisha B'Av, what happened? They breached the walls on Yud Zayin B'Tammuz, and they went straight into the Bet HaMikdash, the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The holy structure was destroyed, was burnt. And that's our maasim, our actions, our midot, what we are doing, and how we're manifesting those thoughts. What are we doing about it? So now I'm changing the mindset. What am I doing about it? If we start with our ratzon and show Hashem how much now we want to make changes and we want to rebuild, and we're not going to continue knocking ourselves, and we're going to change our thought processes, and then we're going to change our actions, we can avoid that the Bet HaMikdash should be destroyed. It begins in Tevet. It begins now. Asara B'Tevet is a chesed from Hashem. Even though it's not a good month, it's an opportunity for us for yitchachut. It's an opportunity for us to build the infrastructure and to rebuild the Bet HaMikdash within us. We're going into the dark months, but it's not necessarily so dark. If we think about it, it's not just that there's, nothing happening, there's no chagim, like it's cold, no, what's happening under the ground right now? In the wintertime, the seeds that are under the ground are spoiling, right? And in a few months, they're going to sprout. So it looks like nothing's happening, but really the wintertime is a time for growth. It's an opportunity for us to work on ourselves. We're not busy. We're not as busy with chagim and this and that. We have the time to invest in ourselves. So start learning something. Take upon yourself maybe to learn a sefer, to go to a shiur, to work on a particular midah that you've been failing at. Work on yourself so that you can what? Spread more ahava to others. Ahavat chinam. We want to build it. We want to work on it. How do I love my fellow Jew? Let's work on me. myself. And then you will see that you will judge, when you judge yourself favorably, you're going to judge other people favorably. Of course, we constantly have to work on both. But if we are in this negative mode in ourselves, in our heads, in our infrastructure, how can we spread that? We want to spread love. And you know what? Sometimes you don't feel it, but you should do it anyway. Because it says, mitoch shelo lishma, ba lishma. You know why you're doing sometimes a mitzvah? You don't want to do it. You don't feel like doing it. From doing it for the wrong reasons, you'll come to do it for the right reasons. Do you know what the word lishma is? Lishma is taken apart as lishem Hashem. For the sake of Hashem, do it. Even if you don't feel like it. Because Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me life. Excuse me. He gave me opportunity. He gave me life. He put me here. He wants something from me. So let's utilize this time to build, to do it, even if it's not Lishma. It's going to come to Lishma because we're doing it for Hashem. And this is the other point, is that when we're saying, Uvnei Yerushalayim, V'tzemach David Avdecha, and we're davening, let's have more kavana. You know why? Because as much as we're betzar that there is no Shechina here in the Beit HaMikdash, as much as we're betzar, imagine the tsar of the Shechina. Imagine how much Hashem is in pain that his children are not home. How many kids are off the derech? How many families are broken apart? How many shidduchim still need to be made, right? What are we davening for? Why do we want the rebuilding? Imagine what it's going to be when the Beit HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt. As you're saying these tefillot, ladies, and you're benching, and your Shemona Esrei, we constantly are mentioning Yerushalayim. What do we want? We want shalom. We want shalva. We want this. What's going to happen when the Beit HaMikdash is going to be rebuilt? There's going to be a tremendous light being brought to the world. We're not going to need electricity anymore. There's going to be so much light from the walls of Yerushalayim. They're going to generate light onto the world. And there's going to be so much peace, so much harmony. That's what we want. Let's change our ratzon, our willingness to want to be closer to Hashem. Let's work on it. Let's have a positive perspective. The letter of the synonymous with this month is the ayin. The ayin it's the letter ayin, but it's also the eye. Let's look at things. Sorry. I'm a little cold. Let's look at things in a positive eye, in a good eye. Let's look at people in a good eye. Let's look at ourselves in a good eye, in a positive perspective, and be able to change our thoughts and our maasim, and come to Hashem and say, Kadosh Baruch Hu, we love you. I love myself. I love your people. I want the Beit HaMikdash to be rebuilt. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we will see Yeshuot. We will see Besorot Tovot. And Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring us the Binyan Beit HaMikdash. When we work on ourselves, we work on the infrastructure, and then we'll be able to spread more love, more ahava, right, to his people. Take upon yourself to say this pasuk. You could find it, I'm sure, in your Siddur. We also get together in a group that I have. It's called Lev Ha'am, and we go into a consciousness and think about this and say this at a certain time in the day. We say this. We say Shema Yisrael. We say Bizmor Todah. We go into Ahava, Emunah, and Todah. And this is what it means to work on ourselves. And with little things, when you take something small, really it becomes something bigger. Work on something small, and you'll see, Be'ezrat Hashem, that you'll be able to make the effective changes to make yourself your Mikdash Me'at. And then you'll come to Hashem and say, I'm ready. We're not going to have the Choban Beit HaMikdash on Tisha B'Av. We're going to have the rebuilding of it, Be'ezrat Hashem. Thank you, ladies. Have an amazing day. I wish you all, we should all be zochet to really, truly love ourselves, love each other, and be able to merit to see Yeshuot, Besorot